Hello, everyone. Welcome to Silver Tears Tarot. We are back today to answer a question that has come up in a couple of the more recent readings here. And it's about another energy that's coming your way. So we've noticed that there was another energy coming your way. Maybe just want to learn a little bit more about it because it seems like this is someone who, the relationship grows a little bit more slowly. It could turn into something romantic, but it doesn't necessarily have to. It's got that sense of something that could potentially be more platonic in nature, but definitely teaches you some lessons and is it's important. It's essential to your growth. It's relevant to what you've already learned with your person that you've been in this relationship, this situationship with here recently. But it's mostly relevant in that now you're ready for this. And it seems like it's going to prepare you for something additional too. So let's learn a little bit more about it. It's going to be a general reading as usual. If it resonates with you, then it might be for you. So this is a general reading for people that are in this collective. And if you find that you do feel like you're in this collective, then welcome in. Go ahead and subscribe. Maybe take a look at some of the other videos, just kind of see what other messages might want to come out for you. So again, what we're looking at is the energy that's coming your direction at this point. And it feels like with the readings that we were having here recently, this might happen during the month of July. So let's get that feel for the energetic backdrop. And this is energetic backdrop, not just for today, but of this kind of general time frame. We've already looked at the month of July as a whole, both generally and from a soulmate perspective. Now we're zooming in a little bit more here. It's not quite the whole month we want to look at. It's maybe a few days before and after. So let's look at the energy that you're currently in. So again, this is energy that you could have already started to see popping up. We've got the Hierophant. This is about guidance, about spiritual guidance. There is something basically close to you, available to you, that has, okay, so it's got this element of it will help you with spiritual guidance, but it also has this element of you may not see it for as being as valuable for guidance as it is until you're in hindsight. So just kind of keep your ears open. You still may not see it even if you're watching for it, it feels like. Let's see, we've got the Revolution card. Okay, so this is like the Tower in the traditional tarot, and it is a tumultuous sort of emotional energy. It is definitely an intense sort of energy. It's a shift. There's an emotional shift that happens here with this, possibly surrounding this. I don't think we want any of those. Possibly surrounding that Hierophant energy. But there's a shift here that I think is more just a shift we've been seeing it for you happening around you toward the end of June. And it was not just that, but it was something that we knew was coming for the end of June. It's kind of a shift for you that gives you a little bit of a new perspective and sets you on a new healing path, but doesn't mean that things are by all means healed. It's just you have turned a corner here in the last couple of weeks. Part of it's been because of the proximity of your person's energy. It's put some additional pressures on you that cause you to have to reevaluate some things. So you find out a little bit about what you maybe have already learned. You figure out what healing you've already done. So this is the Three of Swords in reverse. And it's about healing, but it's about healing a broken heart. The disappointment, though, still lingers. There's a sense of forgiveness that is needed with this energy. And this is just the energy that of the day, of the time frame. So, maybe a few days ahead and before. Okay, and that's that for this one. But yeah, that Four of Cups coming up, it's a sense of disappointment, but it's also a sense of kind of needing to, it's as if you recognize that you want to get past that disappointment in a productive way. And it's not necessarily going to be something that gets resolved to your liking. So this Two of Wands talks about that impasse that we've seen in oh so many readings. This one is the age difference. It's the difference in race or socioeconomic status. It's a political difference. Those are usually the ones that I bring up. Those are certainly by far not the only types of impasses that you could have, but mostly this is something that could be construed as a problem, doesn't have to be. But it's something that creates an issue partially because of your person's environment. So there's that. You've got this Nine of Wands, though, too. There's a defensiveness in this energy, and I feel like this is not so much you as it is your person. Oh, I was wishing that Empress card was part of this part of the reading. That would be nice. But no, let's see here. I never know how far down into the ones that turn over we're going to go. Just go until it's time to stop. But yeah, with that Nine of Wands energy, there's a bit of defensiveness there. I detect some of that as being you, but I think that you're not the primary carrier of that energy or reflector. I feel like that energy is just around. Whatever the dynamic is that would make a person feel defensive is there, and you may not be reacting to that dynamic as much as your person. There's a sense of wanting to kind of stay at home, and so that's the potential card. That's like the Fool card in reverse. That's the desire to kind of stay at home. It's not so much a fear as or even a social phobia, because that's the first question that came up for me as soon as I thought, well, that's like not wanting to leave the house. And my first thinking was, what kind of not wanting to leave the house? Is this I'm afraid to leave the house, or I feel like I don't want the pressure of it? Yeah, it's just not wanting to leave. It's almost just want to sit there and do something that's a little bit more of a homebody type thing. This could be either of you. I detect it strongly in your person. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's the energy of now. But yet there's this practical side to both of you. I feel like that's a shared energy. Interesting. Not necessarily a bad energy, kind of a building, productive sort of energy that you guys have right now. And this is surrounding you. There's an ability to kind of get things done and to move forward. There's also, so this is the Eight of Wands. That's that desire and ability to move forward and get things done. It's also potentially a card of communication. But again, I don't necessarily think that this is communication that is going to be productive at this time. Some of you may surprise me, or I should say not necessarily surprise me, but you may continue to be having positive interactions with your person. So I made a comment on, I think it was Facebook. It was somewhere on social media the other day. Somebody was saying, wow, we've been getting these same messages for a long time. What gives? And, my response back was something to the tone of, it's absolutely frustrating because there's, I am absolutely seeing some of these divine masculines figuring some things out, coming back, being able to have productive conversations. Some are even resulting in reunions. And I don't know that I have total confidence in this statistic, but maybe it's more based on the emails and notes that I get. It was like for every one that comes back, there's 200 more that take off running in the other direction or something like that. And so I feel like that dynamic is still happening. But I also know that we've got some people that are in communication, and that's going to mean something a little different for them. For most people, that communication is like a cake that's not ready yet. And this star card signifies the delay. Okay. That's that for our energetic backdrop. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the question in question. What we were looking at today is the energy that's coming your way, learning a little bit more about characterizing it. So I'm seeing this energy between you and your person, and just kind of that energy that's happening out there in that you're operating in. So you are so connected with your person that even though this reading is kind of not even about them, it is satellite to the situation, and how the health of your situation with this person is indeed relevant to what's going to happen here as this new energy approaches you. But by the same token, Like I said, the reading's not really about your person per se, but this does give us some idea of what's happening there. Whether you are one of those people that's not really in communication with your person and that's not happening yet, or if you're one of the lucky few that's having some better success with it, you've still got somebody heading your direction. So let's take a closer look at that. Let's understand. Oh, I just threw some cards on the floor. But they came up face down. Yeah, let's see what kind of energy is heading your direction. What do you need to know about this? I was going to say what you can expect, but I think that's going to be, that's not going to hit the mark. I think we want to know really what you need to know about it. So we've got a Five of Swords. That's that card of picking your battles wisely. It's a card of making sure you understand why you're doing what you're doing, and being able to stand behind your own decisions. So that's interesting because it feels like this person is going to arise around a situation that, we make zillions of decisions every day. But this is going to arise around a decision that kind of stands above. It's not going to just be what color to wear or whatever. It's going to be something a little bit more important to your overall life. Looks like this is a place where you don't necessarily get vulnerable right away. So we've got the Ace of Cups and the Warrior of Swords both in reverse. Okay, so this person is going to come at you, and I use that term intentionally, but because it's not really like that's their intent, but it may be the way that you receive it. It may be the impact of it. Because it's going to be during a time that you are maybe a little bit stretched emotional resource wise. So you may not have the emotional capacity to also take this in stride as this person comes in and begins to interact with you. And the thing is, I'm not convinced you don't already know this person. The energy is very familiar, but the thing is it somebody you already know, or is this a soulmate who has, it's a soul recognition? Because I get the sense it could definitely be that. Um, there's that lack of vulnerability that pops up in you. I think it surprises you, though. I get the sense it surprises you because this is something, and the Warrior of Swords, like you get a taste of your person's medicine and all of a sudden kind of feel like you need to ghost out and bail. That's what I get from this. It triggers you in a way that makes you feel like you cannot be vulnerable, and all of a sudden you can relate to your person's perspective a little bit better. So, ooh, not what I expected there. I don't know that I'm seeing anything like negative in this person's intentions. I wonder what else we need to know about them. Okay, so we've got the Witch card in reverse. It's like the Magician. This is a card of manifestation, and it's gonna it has a little bit of that feeling like, so two things happening there. First, it has this feeling like kind of not being able to struggle again. Like it's something that you uniquely are unable to struggle against. It comes in at such an angle for you emotionally that you're unable to push against it, or um, do whatever you would ordinarily do to feel comfortable with this situation. You will find yourself feeling a little uncomfortable about things. However, there's something about this person. There's something about this person that is going to, there's a patience in them, and yet they take command of the situation in such a way that you feel comfortable, but you also, I don't know if it's, you know how your person is a little intimidated by you because of the way that you seem to have this emotional independence in a lot of ways. You seem to have this ability to navigate things in what seems, it looks to them like it's a little easier than it may feel for you. You're going to have that experience a little bit. You're going to find yourself on the other side of that. I don't know that it's severe, but it'll be just something like when you see it, you'll be like, oh, huh, that's interesting. That's exactly how my person must have felt. Although I think your person felt that way to a greater magnitude. So I get the sense that you're going to be intimidated, but it won't be to the same level. I don't even get that you're going to run away. I just think you're going to all of a sudden, like I said, get a taste of this person's, or your person's medicine, and understand why they get overwhelmed and feel this need to bail. Okay, so there's an inevitability about this relationship that you're about to enter into. And again, I think you run into this person in July. I mean, it may be for some of you, you maybe ran into them late in June. For some of you, maybe it'll be early August. I mean, we know the timelines are not precise in tarot, but for the July reading, we got the sense here it comes, you know? And so this is something is already set in motion. It's, I don't know if it's, you know, a butterfly flapped its wings on the other side of whatever. Something has already set this in motion for you. So it's coming your direction. It's like a wave that's coming in. It's just, it's going to happen. But the partnership element, allowing that energy to flow between the two of you is a challenge. We need to get a feel for what this relationship is between the two of you. I think maybe we look into that in this extended, because remember, it's not necessarily immediately anyway, it's not necessarily a romantic situation. It could be something that really feels like it has a different purpose or is coming from a different direction. I also, I guess, wouldn't be surprised if it turned romantic, but that's not implied yet. It's also definitely not ruled out. So you could be having another soulmate come in that is of a romantic nature, which is probably confusing for a few of you, because I know some of you are saying, I not really looking for that. Kind of don't really want anybody except for the person that I was already dealing with, or I'm not ready, or that's part of why I think this moves slowly, especially because you do not seem super receptive. And it seems like it shuts you down in some ways, but it also, you're not, you're too conscious, you're too aware for this shutdown to feel right. And this is exactly, I wasn't looking at the cards. I think I was looking at what was already on the table, but this card is about being consciously aware, but not really being able to go to the place that you need to go to get to your solutions. And this Queen of Cups tried to come out earlier, and I wasn't sure if it was part of the read. So as always, I just pop it back in there, and if it is part of the reading, then it's supposed to come back out. So, and it did. So the Queen of Cups comes out in reverse here. This is more of you that's going to get triggered here. This may trigger you, and it's like you're going to watch the whole thing happen and be very aware of it as it's happening and still be kind of surprised that it gets you that far. So that's maybe something you've already had a taste of with the experience with your person, except that you're going to see it from a slightly different perspective here. This is somebody that it's not, I don't get the sense that it's necessarily, it's not the same type of bond, but we'll get a feel for what that bond is. I think that's what we're going to look at when we get into the extended, and then also get a feel for not just what the bond is, but like what is the interaction between the two of you? Because I feel like I'm getting a little bit of that here, but it's you being standoffish, and that just seems weird to me. There's a, oh, okay, you've had something modeled for you, and this experience with your person um, has given you some things that you need to work on top of things that you were already working on. So the bond, the trauma bond that you share with this person, with your person, is going to impact the way you move forward with this soulmate that's coming in. But yes, I think in the extended, we're going to take a look at more the nature of the bond between the two of you, the nature of the relationship, as well as how things go between you. Like, what's the vibe between the two of you? Because that's not really what's showing here. This is, here's what you need to know. This is not a hard stop, but it's not easy. There are some things that are happening there that you've maybe, you're going to see things from a slightly different perspective and be like, oh, okay, this makes a lot more sense. Also of note, we've got a 5 and a 5 here. Lot of change that actually wants to come out with that. I don't always talk about the numbers. I don't necessarily specifically, sometimes they stick out to me, and this is one of those times. So it feels like there's a lot of shifting, a lot of changing that's happening here, and that's associated with the number 5, the changes and something. These are pretty significant changes, even though the cards themselves. Well, this card is minor arcana. This one's major arcana. You have major arcana happening. That level of change happening with you right now, but we talked about that. We know that you've really got a new perspective kind of over these past couple weeks. Here, though, this is a shift. It's a change, but it's like you're going to have a mirror tossed, turned back towards you and go, oh my goodness, hold on. This is not necessarily, but you're going to have a brand new perspective come to you as a result of this, that I can't even express the familiarity that it creates with your person over here. This relationship, regardless of the nature of it, creates additional familiarity with your person's energy. Okay, so before we go into the extended to learn a little bit more about the nature of the relationship and some of the emotions that flow back and forth, we're going to look at what's important for you to know right now. So this is that piece of the reading that's about your growth, what your focus is, particularly given what we've seen here. So we see some of what's coming in for you, some of what you need to know about it. What else? What do you need to be focused on right now as you? And we look at this in pretty much every day's reading. Sometimes it's something that's complementary to everything else you've been seeing. Sometimes you get a little bit of a nuance, a different nuance. You're sitting here on a decision, but it's not the decision between these two. It's not necessarily the decision that you might think it is. This is a crossroads. So it is another one of those crossroads. And you come to this a couple of times here, and so is your person. In fact, your person is this person that your soulmate that you've been in contact with in the previously, but you may not be in contact with now. There's this opportunity to advance to a next level, and it's all about whether you need to relearn the lesson. When you take the road where you relearn the lesson, or you take the road where you advance to the next level, but more is expected of you from an emotional mastery standpoint. So it's up to you. And like I said, your person is going through something very similar. So expect that tower to bring that sort of, possibly bring a result about that might be different from your expectation with your person. That's definitely in the energy between you. But right now, it's like you're standing there trying to decide, all right, do I move on? Do I stay or do I go? This person's energy is right next to me. I got another one that's coming in. Here's the thing, though. I think you just got to roll with it, because with the way these cards feel, it's you don't have ultimate control over some of this. It's got that like that wheel of fortune in reverse sort of feel to it. You're just kind of going to be put some, or the hangman, really more than that. You're going to be put someplace by the universe to sit and make a couple of observations. It may not be totally comfortable, but you'll get there. With this Queen of Wands, this is you getting there, even in the face of what may feel like a little bit of depression, because you have some familiarity with this process already. What you've experienced with your soulmate, with your twin flamey type soulmate, may help to really shorten the path for you. And that's important when we're talking about this crossroads. Now, there's the meditation card coming out here. It's another, just a reminder that meditation is going to be critical for you at this time. So we've seen that card, or we've seen the equivalent message come out many times here recently, but I love that this deck has a card that is specific to meditation. I feel like that's super relevant here. Kind of like the Wayfarer in reverse. It's almost like there wasn't a better way to say that. Oh, okay. Let's see here. We've got the High Priestess. All right. Putting it over here with the meditation card, because it's about meditation, but it's connection with your inner, with your higher self, with your inner child, and I know that until you do inner child work and actually come in contact with something that is the energy of yourself when you were at a time when you had need, but your needs weren't fulfilled, you meet that person and you fulfill that need. And from then on, you never have that gap again, because you're perfectly capable adult who can fulfill that type of need now. But it's a gap that's been there. So this is about getting familiar with your higher self and your inner child. But it happens through this meditation. That's one of the kind of the best ways to get to it. We also have the Seven of Wands and the Spirit of Swords. So even though there's a heavy emotional component to this, the Spirit of Swords is telling you to go ahead and just incorporate some of your logic, some of your thinking mind. Don't get stuck there. By all means, don't get stuck in your head, and don't spend too much time in there, but just kind of, make sure it doesn't go completely unchecked. Make sure that, because otherwise you can get pretty far out of true and then realize, wait a minute, this isn't really something that makes sense for me. And, I'm going off on a kind of in a direction that I don't even necessarily know that I want. And that's because of the Seven of Wands in reverse. This is a lack of confidence that can lead to confusion and blindness. Um, that's exactly what it is. It can lead to confusion and blindness. And I'm like, well, it's wands and not cups. And usually I think of Seven of Cups as being more of a confusion card. But it's showing up here too. There are a lot of um, places where you're going to need the support from your higher self, places where that you are going to want to have come in contact with the child inside you that again didn't receive what you needed at the time you needed it, and so you end up being that person who is the provider. It's a very satisfying feeling because you know exactly what it is that you need, and you're probably quite good at giving it. So we've got the Awakening card in the reverse. This one reminds me of the Six of Wands in reverse because it feels like something that hasn't completed yet, a battle that's still ongoing. Now, this is the equivalent of the Judgment card in reverse as well. So it is very much like something that's unfinished, that's incomplete, that doesn't really get a chance to get to its, it doesn't finish in this round. This is an implication that you may decide you want to go back and learn a lesson again, but I think you've got you've got multiple opportunities, ways that you can learn the lessons that you need to learn. Oh, whoa. Okay. So usually when I turn over the wrong number of cards, they're not really relevant to the reading, but this one is. And this is the next card in the deck after the Awakening. So if the Awakening is the equivalent of the Judgment card, the universe is the equivalent of the world. With it in reverse like that, we see that something isn't over. And this thing that's not over is not a reference to this relationship with this other person, that with your twin flamey soulmate that you've been with. This is the or that you've been energetically dealing with. This is your lesson process not being over. This is very much focusing on where you are in your healing right now and making sure that you are continuing to do right by it, because there are some places where development has not yet occurred, but it's critical that it does occur in order for you to be more successful with this person, which you'll have the opportunity to clean this up. When you first hit this wall, it's a bit of a shock, but you have that mirror turned on you and you figure it out pretty quickly from what I can feel here. Um, Still though, there's lessons that are going to happen here, and they're going to impact what you've already, they're going to be impacted by what you've already learned, but they're also going to impact where you are with your person. So wow. All right. Let's take a deeper look in the extended into this person or this energy that's coming your direction. It does have that sense that it could get to a romantic place, but I, again, don't know that, I don't sense that it has to. So the link is down below if we want to check that out some more, if you want to come with me. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next reading.